Today we want to ask some important question about the next arc of One Piece, Elbaf. How strong are Dorry and Brogy? How strong is the giant pirates? How strong is the Elbaf as a country? And how strong is the god of war of Elbaf? Subscribe right now because why not? And also I'm gonna use the magic word, please. So right now you have no other choice other than subscribing. Let's go. I know that Dorry and Brogy didn't shine really well during Little Garden. Dorry was very weak when he fought against Brogy and he took a very clear axe hit on the chest and later on he passed out. And Brogy was humbled by Mr. 3. Somebody that by today's standard doesn't even register as somebody with power. So yes, it is a very embarrassing feat. But later on in the end of Little Garden, as two overwhelmingly strong captains, I don't know about you, but if the narrator is willing to give them the benefit of doubt, I am willing to do the same. And also not long ago when Captain Kidd was about to attack Shanks in Elbaf, Shanks didn't ask Ben Beckman or Yasopp and Lucky Roo to help him. He said to Dorry and Brogy to take position. In a matter of 10 seconds, Shanks jumped from one side of the island to another. And at the same time, Dorry and Brogy changed their position from one side of the island to another. It implies that these two giants, while massive, like those type of bodybuilders who are very agile, have a great speed. And their spear of Elbaf, their power that resemble a weaker version of Kaido and Big Mom, destroyed the ship of Captain Kidd. So if Shanks and narrator have trust in your power, I am willing to forgive you for having bad feats against somebody like Mr. 3, which again is embarrassing. And not to mention, they are captains of giant pirates. And these giant pirates, for generation, dominated the Grand Line and New World. We are talking about hundreds of years, generation after generation. The Emperor system, and not even Yonko system, is around for like 20-25 years. They have been around for hundreds of years. So right now, I'm gonna take a leap of faith and say if these two people be capable of fighting most top tiers in a 2 versus 1 fight, I am not at all surprised. But now, next question. How strong is the giant pirates? Now, going by the logic of One Piece world, giant pirates should be a portion of Elbaf, perhaps their best fighter. It's like the Amazon Lily and the pirates under Boa Hancock. The pirates under Boa Hancock are part of the overall power of the entire island, but they are fearsome warriors. They are limited in numbers, but high in quality. And I assume this is the same logic. We are talking about same story, same writer, same logic. So perhaps the giant pirates are the best and the strongest people that you can find in Elbaf. Again, one more reason why I believe the idea of Dorry and Brogy not being strong is actually absurd. Even though they have bad feet, Mihawk have bad feet. Mihawk was stopped by Vista. Can we acknowledge this fact? Like, are we willing to ignore every feat and title and backstory about Mihawk because he have one bad feat? Really? I don't think even Mihawk, extreme haters, are willing to do that. So if we, as a community, are willing to give all the benefit of doubt to Mihawk while he clearly has bad feet, we should be able to do the same thing to Dorry and Brogy. And the risky thing is, we are 1 or 2 weeks away of finding out the truth. So right now, as a One Piece content creator, I'm taking a risk defending them, but I'm willing to take this risk because I want to wish really, really hard that these two people are a true example of the might of Elbaf. And their crew should be the best and brightest and strongest people that you can find from Arc of Elbaf. So, if I'm willing to give an estimate to the power of giant pirates, if they gather all of their crew at the maximum of their power, we can compare the power of giant pirates at full power to current day Crust Guild. I mean, Crust Guild only has Mihawk, and again, if you say Mihawk versus all the giant pirates, even at this point, even after everything that I said, I'm gonna give the extreme difficulty win to Crocodile and Mihawk. But to me, the idea of giant pirates, the force that dominated the sea for centuries, being comparable to Crust Guild is like a reasonable thing to say. But now, what is the power of Elbaf, the strongest country in this world? And again, I mind you that at no point of the history, even the land of Wano, even during the era that Ryuma was leading all of the great samurais of the world to stand up against every part of the world to defend the Golden City, nobody called Wano the strongest country. They called Elbaf to be the strongest country. So, knowing and adding the fact that Big Mom said if I had Elbaf, I could have defeated Shanks, Kaido, and even Whitebeard. And I mind you, back then when she made this claim, Dorry and Brogy weren't even around. I mean, we don't know if Dorry and Brogy are actually own their legion to the king of Elbaf. I assume they do because of the honor system that they have among the giants. Giants are very proud fighters, and they all follow a very strict moral code, and they all fight in the honor of their god of war and sun god. So the idea of them also following the monarchy makes sense. But again, Big Mom made the claim that I can take all of you down without the help of giant pirates. Now, you might say that Big Mom overestimated her power before. She went to the land of Wano with one ship, so she's not exactly the best person when it comes to estimating the power of every territory. It is very crazy for anybody, even Marine, to fight Shanks and win, fight Kaido and win, fight Whitebeard, who is on much healthier condition, and win. Again, even though this is like, the Big Mom that we're talking about is like from 6 to 8 years ago, like 5 years ago, when Shanks was barely a Yonko, Kaido did not have 500 Zoan. But again, even the weakened version of Shanks and Kaido, they're too strong to beat when we add Whitebeard, who is closer to his prime. But even assuming that Big Mom is 50% off, it's a reasonable claim. Big Mom is not an idiot. Big Mom might be one of the best politicians in the world of One Piece. So even if we assume she overestimated the power of Elbaf, it means at very least without having the power of giant pirates. They are comparable to 1.5 Yonko, so don't make any mistake. Nobody in the history of One Piece world, as far as we know, dominated Elbaf. And as far as we know, Elbaf might be the only country in the New World that doesn't follow the orders of any Yonko. That's the rule of the New World. Remember, if you want to stay alive in New World, you either have to obey a Yonko or oppose them. Elbaf might be the only neutral place that no Yonko want to go to war with, and they don't want to go to war against any Yonko as well. Shanks is not technically their ally or their landlord or their superior. Shanks is not the Kaido to their Wano. No. They probably have a friendship with Shanks. Some of them, I'm not even sure if the royal family of Elbaf is friendly with Shanks or not. Some portion of giants respect Shanks, they are like friends, but no one until this point of the story ever mentioned that they are allies of Shanks or under the protection of the flag of Shanks. They might be the only organization in New World that is neither an ally or an enemy to any of the Yonko. And this is the greatest testament to their power and a proof that if we want to guess the overall power of Elbaf, we need to be able to compare them to crews like Whitebeard, Big Mom, or Kaido. I'm not gonna say Shanks because I genuinely believe Red Hair Pirates are significantly stronger than any other Yonko in a war. But all in all said, we still have one more entity in the land of Elbaf, and that is the god of war and the god of Elbaf. Sun God Nika, as far as we know, is not the only god that people of Elbaf pray and worship to. He is one of the gods. If we believe that there is a Nika, logic, mythology, fantasy, everything in a narrative suggests that there should be other gods as well. And knowing the tremendous age of a giant, like giants live for 500 years easily. The idea that a giant from 1,000 years ago, who was once a god himself, still kicking around in Elbaf, makes perfect sense. And can you even imagine the scenario when Sun God Nika, who doesn't even know, Luffy doesn't know that he is a sun god. He doesn't know the depths of his mythology. If he goes to Elbaf and there he meet another god who lived during the era of Nika. Isn't that going to be crazy? And that is actually narratively plausible because for all we know, a dude like Saturn lived ever since the days of Joy Boy. So if bad guys have met Nika, it makes more than sense if at least one good person from Elbaf, perhaps their god of war, which is 1,000 years old mighty god, met Nika, and Luffy learned the mythology of One Piece world from the words of an eyewitness person who saw the original Nika, saw the Joy Boy who had the power of Nika, and now is seeing Luffy. That is the cherry on top of the entire new world, the meeting of two gods, something that is so good that I demand, as a content creator, I demand you, Oda, to give me this moment. Because this is too good for you to deny. This is the meeting of two gods. This is a person who can give us reliable information from 1,000 years ago. No other person in history of One Piece, not even people who went to Laugh Tale, can present Luffy with this amount of knowledge. I know I'm creating new characters and creating new scenes, but come on, tell me in the comment section, Elbaf God, comments down below, Elbaf God. Yeah, Elbaf God, I'm not gonna say God of Elbaf, Elbaf God, so I know exactly you know what I'm talking about. Comment Elbaf God if you want to see the moment that I'm talking about. Come on, Oda, if a random guy from the internet is coming up with a scenario so good that should be true, you should at least do me one level better. You should at least give us something so connected to the lore of One Piece, because right now, Dorry and Brogy, perhaps by the command of a king or a god, are coming to the Egghead Island so they can bring Luffy to that holy place. Elbaf has been foreshadowed for like 1,000 chapters. This arc should be the pinnacle of One Piece New World. The silence before the storm. The moment that Luffy understands who he is, and after that, Second God Valley gonna start. This is the reason that Elbaf is the most significant arc in the New World, even better than already a perfect arc called Egghead Island. I cannot wait to see this arc, and I see you all beautiful people that Laugh Tale.